2 o'clock. So I just want to thank everyone for coming. We're trying a little bit of a different setup so we can get the AV online really well. We're also recording this session. Online, we also have Donna Pavon, our CFO. She's online, and let's just get right into it. So we're here to talk about the fiscal 24 budget. As it says on the screen, the budget is from October 1st of this year through the end of September in 24. And we have on the screen about the investment in delivering the member experience. Obviously, we're investing a lot in the member experience right now with the renovations. But there's an investment in the operations too that coincides with that so that we can provide the services to go along with the new amenities. So I want to talk just a minute about the budgeting philosophy and our assumptions. As you can see on the screen, we assume that the golf course is going to open December 1st and that the bistro and pool will open on January 1st. We just had an owner, architect, contractor meeting just this morning, and we are still on schedule and on budget.
On budget.
Both are very important these days, that's for sure. The operating budget is a zero-based budget, and huge kudos to the management team putting the budget together. You can see kind of the timeline that we go through to assemble the budget. It does take months, and it's a lot of time that's dedicated to it. And right now, a lot of our time is dedicated to the renovation too. So kudos to Joe and the whole management team for putting it together. Likewise, the finance committee spends a great deal of time reviewing all this, and they review it at a very detailed level. In fact, their handout, I think, is 60, 70 pages long. And that review takes about 5 hours. And then that was 3 weeks ago. And then 2 weeks ago, we had a similar workshop with the board where we go through all of these numbers again. And that session was about 3 hours. So thanks to not only the management team, but the finance committee and the board. And thanks to Mr. Nottingham, he's our treasurer, and he actually flew down for our meeting today and flew into town the other day for our workshop as well. I don't think members appreciate how much the board does and their time and dedication unless you've served on the board. So every year, there's always a balance between what the members pay in their dues and what you pay at the point of sale, meaning what you pay for golf, food and beverage, and the like. And you know, we always talk about how we budget to the mission. Again, ours is a zero-based budget, so we build the budget based on our vision, mission, and our core values. And that is always important, and even more so important this year as we're fulfilling not only the renovation, but again, the operations that will support it. Mr. Graziano had sent out a president's report last week, and although when I first read it, I thought it sounded a little bleak. And I was afraid we were going to have to move this meeting to the driving range to accommodate everybody. But he pointed out some very valid things in that, you know, not only do we have an increase in cost of ownership, you know, because of the assessment that the membership already approved, but there's also inflationary pressures, wages are going up, and of course we have the added cost of the new facilities, as well as the staff to support it. So everyone comes to this meeting to know the bottom line. So instead of making you sit here for a half hour, 45 minutes, as Stephen Covey says, we'll begin with the end in mind. So we'll go right to the bottom line. So what is the bottom line? So on the screen, you can see the different dues components that you all pay. There's a club dues. So the club dues is golf, food and beverage, tennis, pool, fitness. That supports all of those amenities. Master-based assessment, also called the CAM, Common Area Maintenance. That is the gate access, personnel, your hot wire TV is a big portion of that, and then also the maintenance of the common areas. You have the F&B service charge, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The capital reserve assessment. So the capital reserves are to replace the existing assets. So all of those dues and reserves total $10,184 this year, going to $11,072, or an increase of $888, which is an 8.7% increase. As I mentioned before, you all already approved the renovation loan repayment, which is going from fiscal 23 from $1,500 per year to almost $2,000 in 24, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So we have 6 really main significant budgetary impacts in fiscal 24. As I said before, we have the annual loan, the renovation loan repayment. We have the F&B service charge that I just mentioned. Of course, we don't have golf in October and November, and that has a pretty big financial impact that we'll talk about. There's a labor impact that I mentioned, insurance. We all know whether you're in a condo or single family home where insurance is going, and inflation. So we're going to break down each of those areas. So as I said, this is fiscal 24 is the first year that you all will be paying back the full 160 per member per month. So that's the PMPM, per member per month. In fiscal 23, you all paid the old loan amount up until about February, and then the new 160 per month came into play. So in fiscal 23, again, that loan repayment amount was $1,500 for the year, and it goes up to the $1,920 in 24. The good news is that number, it's a fixed rate loan, so that is the number for the life of those loans. You know, typically in most years, that in the past 9 years, that loan repayment number stays flat because it's a fixed rate. So the last bullet there, if the loan repayment was flat, as it has been in the prior 9 years, the total cost of ownership actually would have been 7.6%.
Excuse me, I'm going to sit here because I need to sit someplace. Hi, sorry to.
Welcome. Talk about the F&B service charge. So we are anticipating that the F&B volume will be increased quite significantly with the new bistro. That last bullet, we're going to go from about 1.8 million to 2.25 million in food and beverage. So it's a 25% increase. The board and the finance committee spent a lot of time talking about how that all happens. Joe actually does very lengthy spreadsheets that take into account every meal period, how many covers we're going to do, that's meals, how much every cover is going to cost, how much staff it takes for every meal period, and all of that feeds into the budget. So the service charge pays a majority of the service staff's wages. So the volume going up 25% coincides with the service charge going up 25%. Going back to the golf course renovation, so not having golf revenue, greens fees, cart and greens fees, that's about a $220,000 hit, not having that revenue in October and November. We also did have summer members this year, and the portion that would have impacted fiscal 24 is almost $30,000. Net of some operational savings, the financial impact is about $209,000 by not having the course open in October and November this year. And if we go back to club dues, you see the increase is $539. So 262 of that, almost half of it, is directly related to the course not being open in October and November. Labor, that is a challenge that not only clubs but every business is dealing with. We've had to make some labor adjustments during fiscal year 23. Of course, those wage adjustments to remain competitive carry over. So this budget builds that in. We also have some additional food and beverage staff. Of course, that's offset by revenues. We do have one additional worker in golf course maintenance. And the budget assumes a 3% increase for the team members that are here at the first of the year. Also on the screen are a couple of screenshots, which might be tough to read, but some of the professional industry publications about where things are going with payroll. The one at the top is actually from Gulf Shore Business. That says that Florida wages increased by 7.3% on average last year. Insurance, everyone's favorite topic. Our broker actually achieved 11.5% increase. I'm hearing from other clubs, they're seeing 25+% increases, so I think that's a good thing. At 11.5, I've heard some of the condos are seeing 50+% increases. There is another impact to insurance during fiscal 24, and that's going to be our increased insured values when the bistro is done. So the total all-in difference from fiscal year 23 to 24 is 58,000 add for insurance. Another note, that last bullet, if you look at our property casualty liability, employee health insurance, ancillary, and workers' comp, we're at about $880,000 a year just in insurance. Next year, power just flickered. Hopefully that will
Okay.
the insurance gods. Next year, that I guarantee you, I'll be standing here saying it's over $1 million. And $1 million is 10% of our operating budget. So insurance really does have a huge impact. Inflation, as Mr. Graziano pointed out in his update, I hope that things have kind of flattened out, but costs have not gone down. So while the fiscal 23 budget had a lot of that inflationary increase built into it, it's already here. So obviously in fiscal 24, it still has an impact on total cost of ownership. Although we did hear good news from Amy today, the cost of Easter eggs has gone down. So I'm not sure if that's one of the indicators that the Fed uses, but we'll see. On the screen now, and Joe will have a handout for you at the end of the meeting, because I know this is hard to see on the screen, but you'll have it in a handout. This goes back to that balance between what you pay at point of sale and what you pay through your dues. This is a list of all the fees and rates. We did increase cart fee. Cart fee we brought up $2.50 to $28, and that is comparable with our competitive set. It also helps to offset the cost of GPS, which we're adding in the fall when the course opens. So $2.50 increase on 18 and $1.25 on the cart fee for 9 holes. We also increased the greens fee by $2 for 18 and $1 for 9. And then we had the finance committee workshop. And after 5 hours, the finance committee recommended that we take a harder look at our reciprocal rate and our summer fees. So we actually increased the fees in the summer, reciprocal rate. So the reciprocal rate in the summer of 24 will be $53. So you'll see the summer increase is a bit more. Again, this will be in the handout, a little bit hard to read on the screen, but this is the capital reserves list for fiscal 24. The top portion is all of our leases, and you'll see that in the handout. That remains pretty flat. In fact, we actually have a little bit of a savings in our leases because we have deferred our payments on the golf cart leases. We have the golf carts we have now in the barn. We're not paying for those during the renovation. So we have a little bit of a savings there. But then we have the GPS that is being added on. We also have a number of capital items. The board approved most of these a few months ago. And we had the board approve those early because some of those have long lead time items and they're directly related to the renovation, such as range supplies, range mats, those type of things. So those are all on order already and will be here when the course opens, before the course opens. We also have some resale items. That's the column more so at the bottom to the left. And again, the board approved a lot of those items already. One of the new ones is an ice cream machine. So you'll have a soft serve ice cream machine at the new bistro. Something to look forward to. So at the bottom of that page, you see the balances, which is even hard to read on my screen. We have a total of almost $1 million in capital expenses. At the end of fiscal year 23, we'll be at about 1.6 million. That's also with the dues coming in for the fiscal year. So the end of fiscal year 24, with the fees coming in for 25, we'll be at about 2 million bottom line for the capital reserves. For resale, we are at about 400,000 in resale, using about 121,000 of that. So that's a capital piece. Again, that kind of brings us back to the earlier slide about the different dues components. And what I want to emphasize is some of what we're dealing with in 24 is specific to 24, some of the anomalies because of the renovation. So the good news is in fiscal 25, We'll have 12 months of golf revenue. Again, that's a difference of over $200,000. We'll have 12 months of non-resident membership dues, which will be an increase of $32,000. So those two items alone is about $300 per unit that will require less subsidy in fiscal 25. So fiscal 24 is a little bit of an anomaly. And of course, in 25, you will have the same loan repayment on the existing loans. So, any questions?
Tim, what's the actual number? What's the whole number?
The number is, so it's the 11,072, and then you have the loan repayment of just under 2,000. So it's a hair under 13,000 all in.
And last year it was?
It was 11,684.
11,680, so the difference is about 2,000?
The difference
1,400?
is 1,300.
12, 13.
1,300. Yep. Any other questions? We do have a bartender on staff. We're not normally open tonight, but I figured you're all here, so.
You want to check see if anybody has a question?
Oh, you want to do that? Sure. Yeah, so Chef Liam has a little cheese board. If y'all want to go out for happy hour, the bar will be open.
We're looking for happy hour.
Joe, make sure it's happy hour. It's a little early for happy hour, but we'll call it happy hour. It's all right. We're just looking online to see if there's any questions.
One question. Max Borden, audio working great this time.
All right, great. That's the best question I've had all year.
That's all we have.
Donna, do you have anything to add? Take that as
I think maybe you have to
Oh,
ask her.
did I mute her?
I gotta unmute. I think I'm unmuted at this point.
You are.
You are unmuted.
Okay. No, I just guess I'd say to Tim and all of the management team, this is really a collaborative effort. And we get great support from the finance committee and the board. And this has been a great process and a great outcome, I think.
Thanks, Donna, and I will see you online for our next meeting in about 40 minutes.
Perfect. See you then.
The group, if not, then, yeah.
Tim, you mentioned 2 reserve accounts. Aren't there more? Isn't there a mitigation?
We do have a risk mitigation. We don't show that in the budget presentation because we're not adding to it nor spending it. But the balance in risk mitigation is a little north of 800,000. Yes.
This is in regards to the renovation. A project that big is bound to have some cost overruns, maybe some added work orders, and of course you mentioned inflation.
Yep.
How do you see that unfolding when you get to the end?
So the question was about overruns on the renovation. We track it very closely with a subcommittee of the finance committee along with Donna and myself. So we track all the overs and unders every week against the budget and the change orders. And I'm glad to say right now we're in very good shape on contingency. There have been things that have come up. I think I've explained to everybody early on, we had a big electrical issue that was discovered kind of out where the new bistro bathrooms were going to be or are now. You know, that was pretty significant, but as I've said before, we've got the right team in place to address those as they come up so we can solve them quickly to not affect schedule and keep it within our contingency. So we're still
On budget, right?
We're still holding tight, we're still on budget.
Tim,
Yes.
I know I'm late, so I don't need to take your time, but we were at, for food and beverage, we would say we were at 550, I'm not sure. We were at 450, then I think maybe we went up to 550, am I right or wrong?
On the service charge,
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
6. I went to 7.
it was 6 last year.
It went up to 6 last year?
It was at 6 last year and 750 in 24.
That's what it said.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought I saw, I just wanted to.
So if there's nothing else, Joe's got a handout for you if you have any questions. One more question.
Jim, you took one question on renovation. I had a simple question. And I never asked of the architect when he was here. Is there a reason why we're not doing the practice area first or quicker? Because as we have no place to practice or whatever, and there's going to be more members coming back in October, is that something they could accelerate, or does it have to be done in a certain sequential order?
So the golf course is a very fluid project.
Yeah, I know.
And it's funny you say sequential order, because I'd love to say there is one. We've had to shift gears a lot. You know, when rock walls were taking longer than anticipated, we were shifting gears. You know, when there was irrigation repairs to be done, we were shifting gears. It's Mark's desire to do the golf course, to do the practice area soon. And that will hopefully after that, we'll leave 2 through 8 to be done. And we're going back and forth with Kip and the golf course, GC, as to how we can attain that schedule. So the one thing we don't want to do is get off schedule that can affect our total timeline. So that's our goal right now is December 1.
One thing you should know though, Kevin, and I don't know if you do know, that Vasari has said, if you come from Stonebridge and tell them at the gate, you can use their practice facility.
And there was one more question online. Will the handouts be available online? They will be, and in fact, the voice is going to go out hopefully this afternoon, and it will include hopefully a video of this, as well as a handout will be sent via mass email to everybody.
Tim, is there an expectation that there's gonna be extra of those rocks, those big rocks? That maybe we can use them for the Stonebridge?
You're not the first person to say that. In fact, the gentleman sitting directly in front of you has brought up the same
Oh,
topic.
it's obvious. I mean,
Is it? Well,
We pay for what we use.
yeah, we don't own the rocks until the rocks are in. So while there may be an excess of rocks, we're only paying for what's being used. And at this point, adding to the scope of work, while we do have contingency left, I don't think we're in a position to be looking to add to scope of work. We want to make the budget, so I think, you know, as Mr. Nottingham says, he's pretty tight with purse strings, so.
well, I'm just saying,
And I'm
for all
becoming
those
more and more
young
tight by the
people that we
minute.
wanna invite, to watch that Stonebridge, on the 18th hole. That's where it belongs.
I said 2 days ago, if I won the Mega Millions, I'd buy you all a Stonebridge. And I'd wave to you from the top of it. All right, well, the bar's open, and Joe has a handout for you.
We have a question.
I'll give it to you.
Is there any thoughts to
Don't worry about a rural set.
opening the back nine
Oh, wait, let's get
earlier
out.
than for the whole course?
Thank you.
Quick, last question was, would we consider opening the back nine since all of that is getting grass first? We don't anticipate the need to do that. The idea would be to open the entire course on December 1st. So we don't plan on opening just a nine. All right, thanks, Don. Yep.
No, so